Hello, everybody out there in podcast land. Welcome to another fine episode of Film Nobs. I'm one of your co-hosts, Barry B-Man Benning. And just right off the bat, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, this is the third part in our trilogy of greatest action movie heroes of all time, male division. And as such, as being the third part, the end of your trilogy should be the best part, right? I mean, it's all been leading up to this moment. So I'm going to go ahead, get out on a limb right now and say this is going to be the finest episode ever. This is going to be the best show ever. Now, don't get me wrong. The previous 22 episodes have been fine. They've been darn good. But I tell you what, to go ahead and prove this, for those of you who haven't listened to the show, first-time listeners, go back, listen to the previous 22 episodes, then come back, listen to this one, and I think I'm going to be proven right. This is going to be a good one. So, what do you think over there, Mr. Morganator? Who are we up to at this point? What hero will be coming to save us, at least save me from this beginning intro?
So our next action movie hero fights off screen,
yeah,
as well as on screen.
Ah, so he's not just keeping it on the set. Well, he's got to. I mean, an actor's got to practice sometimes. Who is that? Russell
Crowe.
Oh well, yeah.
From Gladiator.
So Gladiator is the the film on the list. Where does that come in at?
It comes at number 54.
Well, that's a very respectable number on your list, and it should be, right? Because Gladiator is an Oscar-winning, a Best Picture Oscar-winning movie, and he won Best Actor for that movie. You know, not a lot of actors, I guess, win the Oscar for such a physical action movie type role, right?
Right.
So tell me. So you say he's a brawler off screen as well. So what about some of his off screen? I know we're supposed to be talking about the on screen, right? I mean, he was in Cinderella Man. You know, he's done. It's not like Gladiator's his only action movie, or we wouldn't mention him, right? But Master and Commander, movies. But what about now? I'm more curious about his off screen fighting than his on screen. I don't think that's the way it's supposed to be, but do you know? Do you have what happened with some of his off-screen training, if you will?
Okay, I'll give you a quick rundown of his rap sheet. So, 1998, he headbutts his Blood Brothers co-star.
Yeah, okay.
In 99, he gets into a fight outside of a nightclub in Australia.
Well, isn't that what you're supposed to do in Australia? He's just following, protocol things.
In 2002, his acceptance speech gets cut out at the BAFTA Awards. So he had an argument with the producer. And in 2002, he argues with the owner of the New Zealand Warriors rugby team, not to be confused with the Golden State Warriors.
Oh, okay, right. Well, arguments are, come on, arguments are...
And that argument happened at a London restaurant. 2004. He fights his bodyguard on the set of Cinderella Man.
Do you really is that the guy you want to fight, your bodyguard?
Maybe he didn't like his nickname because the bodyguard's nickname is Spud.
Are you going to hire, Spud? I don't know if I'm going to hire a bodyguard named. No offense to any Spuds out there, but it doesn't exactly.
So that's his test for employment. He's like, if I can kick your butt, you can't work for me. And in 2005, speaking of Jackie Chan using props, Russell Crowe threw a hotel telephone, and it hit a hotel employee in the face.
Ow. Oh, man, oh, day.
And in 2016, he allegedly assaulted Banks, somebody named Banks at a hotel.
Oh, I thought you were just gonna just go into a bank and you're charging me what? You're charging me
So
what kind of fee for this? And just start fighting Oh my gosh! Wow. Well, so it hasn't ended. I thought maybe it had ended, but that was what? When was that? 2016.
2016. Yeah.
He's still got a little fight left in him. He's a champ. So I end up insulting John Wayne in the last episode, and you're now, all these Russell Crowe fans may be coming to look for you.
I like Russell Crowe.
Watch out for flying telephones. Oh, who else have we got? Who else have we got on our list here?
How about Jet Li?
Jet Li.
So we go from flying phones to...
Yeah, someone that actually just about seems like they fly very gracefully through at least through motion picture air to kick butt. So what is it? Hero? What's on our list? Or
The One?
Oh, The One. Really, I did not see. I'm the one that maybe didn't see The One. I know he too. Hong Kong action star. So Hero, I believe he was in Zhang Yimou's movie, the Chinese director, his action movie Hero, and I don't know. Fearless. The came out about somewhere around 2005 or so. That was pretty. Have you seen Fearless? That was a pretty solid movie with Jet Li.
Yeah, great movie. It came out in 2006.
2006. All right. Yeah. Well, so close. That was probably one of his bigger hits over here in the States, both financially and critically. And he played the real life Chinese martial artist hero, Huo Wanjie. And kind of ironically, he played that real life character. And one of the movies that really helped kickstart his career was director Tsui Hark's Once Upon a Time in China, made back in the early 90s. He ended up, he played another real life Chinese martial artist, Wong Fei Hung. And he went on to play that real life character in a couple of other movies. Also, another one of his Hong Kong movies that is highly regarded is Fist of Legend, which actually is a remake of a Bruce Lee movie, Fist of Fury. His first English language movie over here actually he wasn't a hero. He was the villain in Lethal Weapon 4. And he came over. He didn't know much English at the time, but he came over. He agreed to do that, play the villain, as long as he got to play a hero in the next movie, which he did. Romeo Must Die. And his career over here in the States ended up being kind of hit and miss, but he was one of the better action heroes of his time period there, and certainly one of the greatest martial arts heroes in the history of movies. Who else we got?
Oh, how about Vin Diesel?
That lug. Oh, yeah, I'm ready. So let's just take on. So I made my mom, right? I made Mom mad last week with talking about John Wayne. And now I'm going to make my wife mad talking about Vin Diesel. Not a big, she's a big Vin Diesel fan. And yeah.
Apparently you were not.
Well, look, all right. So I guess he's good in the Fast and the Furious franchise. I like him there. It fits there, but otherwise,
What? No Triple X?
No Triple X for me. I pretty much X those movies right out.
Well, he wasn't Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah. And they didn't give him a whole lot of, if memory serves me, he didn't have a whole lot of dialogue, did he, in that movie? Well, see, Steven Spielberg. Can't anybody accuse him of not being aware of what to include and not include. Talented director. I don't know. How did Vin worm his
Well,
way
I don't
to
know
that
how
movie.
much Vin Diesel's performance contributed to Saving Private Ryan being the wonderful that it is, but Saving Private Ryan comes at number 40 on our list.
Okay, well, that can't be the only time that Vin Diesel has chugged across your screen there. What else?
So, of course, I got the Fast and Furious franchises, the Triple X franchises, and the Chronicles of Riddick franchises. Or franchise.
Franchise. Well, look, Pitch Black was okay, right? I couldn't even make it through. What was the chronic? I guess it was the Chronicles of Riddick was the second. Has there only been two?
They made a third one.
I stopped that movie at I think at about the 22-minute mark. It's like, nope.
So Furious 7, number 7 in the franchise, comes at number 5 on the list.
Number 5 all time. Well, yeah, how much did that movie make overall?
The number I've got, so again, the worldwide adjusted profit, it's $1.4 billion.
Well, when you use the B word, you're gonna be way up high on any list, I guess.
And the Fate of the Furious comes at number 12 at just over $1 billion.
Did you see that? Did you see this last one? That was the last one. Did you watch that one?
Which one had the submarine?
That one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found that to be not at all as good as 7. I thought that was a step backwards, this last one.
I guess I haven't seen the 7th one yet. I'm going to, though.
Yeah, I thought that was a lot better. Hey, have you ever heard of the term galoot? Big galoot?
No.
Yeah, okay. Never mind.
Moving on.
Who we got next?
So what did Vin Diesel ever do to you?
Well, he appeared in motion pictures. He appeared in some movies that I thought I might want to watch.
Okay.
I love you, Vin. I'm sorry. It's all in jest.
It's all in fun.
That's right.
Okay, so for our next action hero, how about Jason Statham?
And I noticed how exact and precise you were with that because, well, I'll be honest with everyone out there. I have a tendency for some reason, I will say Jason Statham more often than I should. I don't know why I do that. It's just kind of I've got a mental block about that. So what are you, which Statham movie pops up here first on our list?
How about The Transporter?
Hey, that was a good movie. I like The Transporter.
2002.
I liked The Transporter. Solid flick. I don't know. I guess Transporter 2, even the sequel it's all right. It's okay.
It's always hard to beat the first one.
It is hard. It is hard to beat. Although, back to my good old friend Vin Diesel, I do think until this last Fast and the Furious movie that they had progressively gotten better. That doesn't happen very often, but I will say that's one series I thought that had gotten better as it went along.
And I first remember seeing Jason Statham in the Jet Li movie we talked about earlier, The One.
And and you said you liked, right? That was pretty solid flick. Yeah, I have, for some reason that one got by me. I'll have to check that out.
Kind of sci-fi.
A sci-fi?
Yeah. Sci-fi action, alternate dimensions.
Well, one thing I like about Statham is he can definitely be badass when he needs to be, but he's also got a pretty good sense of humor at times about himself and about his kind of his status as an action hero. I thought he was pretty funny in the Melissa McCarthy spy. Did you see that? I thought he was, he kind of, he wasn't exactly the brightest bulb in their organization, but he was very funny in that movie. Now, I also remember, there's one, did Crank make your list?
Yes.
And that movie kind of slipped out of, that's one I didn't care for exactly. Some of the action scenes were really good in it, but that one didn't quite gel like the Transporter did for me.
So the Transporter 3 comes in higher than the Transporter on my list.
Really? And 2. So the Transporter 3 beats the first 2.
Uh-huh.
Well, that is.
And then Crank comes in at higher than the Transporter as well.
So, fast forward, 17 years from the original Transporter to today, and Jason Statham is going to be in another action-packed movie, it looks like, and probably a pretty profitable one. The newest Fast and Furious franchise movie, Hobbs and Shaw.
That's right.
Will be coming out this, and I'm pretty sure that if you amend your list next year, this will probably.
I've got a spot for it.
Yeah, there'll be one there.
Well, speaking of Fast and Furious and Hobbs and Shaw, our next action hero on the list is Dwayne Johnson.
The Rock himself.
That's right.
Wow. All right. So these two guys have been around the same time. Then that's when they kind of hit the market, and they're going bigger and better than ever today.
Right.
So what was Mr. Johnson's first foray into your list here?
Well, if we're looking for a profitable movie, that would be Faster.
Faster? Really? Wow. Yeah. And what about the unprofitable?
Sadly, The Rundown.
The Rundown. Got run over.
It got run over at the box office. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I can remember, and I don't know if you remember this. I remember it was kind of, it was cool seeing at the very beginning. I think The Rock's walking into a bar or club or something.
Right, yeah.
And out comes Schwarzenegger, and he says something to the fact, I can't remember the line, it's up to you, or something like that.
Or have fun.
Yeah, and it was like
passing the torch or changing the guard.
Exactly. I remember that well. That's probably the thing I remember most about that movie. But, the thing about The Rock, and he's certainly, those Furious movies that he's become attached to, and he wasn't initially. He came in which one was it?
Fast Five.
I don't think he's quite as successful financially, or his movies, as one might automatically think. Apart from those movies, he's had a few that haven't quite done as well as I thought they might have.
Actually, I misspoke. Walking Tall was his first profitable movie.
Walking Tall. Okay.
2004. I had my spreadsheet kind of jacked up. So, 2004, Walking Tall.
Okay.
Was his first.
The remake. That was actually a remake of a 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know if his name... kind of inspired by maybe more than an actual remake of that movie, but yeah, I was looking through some of his filmography recently, and like I say, I think he's had a few more misses on there than one might think at first. One might at least initially think. What has made it on here? That's done well. I know Walking Tall is way down there. It didn't. It's towards the bottom of the list. It looks like here, as is Faster. What about some of the higher ranked films?
As we said earlier, Vin Diesel, Furious 7 clocks in at number 5.
Right. Yeah, that's a biggie.
Fast and Furious 6 comes in at 36. Surprisingly, Jumanji comes in at number 20. Welcome to the Jungle.
Well, yeah, that movie. That movie did. That's one that did more than people, I think, initially thought that it would. It took a little bit. I'm pretty sure that movie took a little cash away from the Star Wars movie, Revenge of the Jedi. Not Revenge of the Jedi.
The Last Jedi.
The Last Jedi, right? I've got my own spreadsheet in my mind. It's kind of stirring around a little bit.
Well, it could happen again this year, could it not? Aren't they coming out with another?
Absolutely. They'll both be facing each other again, right? Around Christmas time.
Yeah.
That will be very interesting. very, because, while I certainly didn't really have much of a problem with it, it's not like the last Star Wars movie. Well, it ticked off a good number of fans. It didn't make them happy. And the Jumanji movie did seem to make some, a few fans. So how this works will be very, very interesting.
And so The Rock's San Andreas movie that came out in 2015, it ranks at number 72 on the list.
And that's actually one of my... I've got 3D cable TV, and I think that's my favorite 3D movie that I've got. I don't know. It really pops out in 3D. I really like that.
Okay, so for our next action hero, we'll keep the Vin Diesel family tree going here.
Well, family is very important. That is what is important in the Fast and Furious movies, right? Family.
So Matt Damon of Saving Private Ryan fame. He's our next action hero.
In... What's the movie that prompted...
Saving Private Ryan as far as an ensemble cast.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, yeah.
As far as a standalone movie, how about The Bourne Identity?
The Bourne Identity. Okay, all right, I got you. That was a good flick. I liked all of the except for the last one. The last one that I didn't see, the Jeremy Renner. Whichever was, what was that? The Bourne
Legacy.
The Bourne Legacy. I didn't see that. I didn't see that one, and then the last Bourne movie with Matt Damon didn't quite work. But those first three, especially the Bourne's, what was it? Bourne Ultimatum. That movie, I love that flick.
I've seen all but the last Jason Bourne that came out in 2016.
Yeah, I can't recommend. I mean, not a bad movie, but it just seemed like it's one of those that why bother? It's just there's nothing.
Was it a cash grab? Do you think?
I don't know if it was a cash grab. It just didn't. It's one of those that you go, well, this is just a little too late in the game. It just doesn't. It just kind of just sat there. Just didn't do much.
Did it? I haven't seen it, but so did it kind of not fit in with the other Bourne movies?
It's certain, yeah. It did seem a little misplaced. I didn't think it had the adrenaline to it, and it did seem a little tired. It's just kind of and there's not much worse than a tired action movie. That's not the adjective you want affixed to your action movie. Tired.
Now, what's weird is that the Jason Bourne 2016 movie comes in at number 87 on the list, but the Bourne Identity comes at number 115 on the list.
Well, one thing maybe is one thing that happened with some time going by is that people remember, oh, wow, remember how good those Bourne movies? Let's go check this out. Uh-huh. And just didn't happen for it. At least, I'm saying it didn't happen for it in a critical way. I just didn't think it was very good. Most other people I know that talked to it kind of felt the same way. That just
I'll have to check it out so I can.
So you can tell me how wrong. Tell me how wrong I am with that assessment. That's fine.
So for our next action hero. How about we go from Matt Damon, who is a trained killer, to someone who's played a paid killer?
Who would that be?
How about Brad Pitt in Mr. and Mrs. Smith?
Brad Pitt in Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Okay. I'll tell you, I really liked that movie, and it has something a little special for me. That was the first movie that my wife and I saw after we got married. I remember we went on our honeymoon, and a little downtime there. So we, went to the video store and picked up along with Wedding Crashers. It was Wedding Crashers and Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I don't know if that really, thinking back on it, is that really the movie that a newlywed couple needs to watch about a couple of hit people trying to bump each other off? Maybe not, but.
So which did you enjoy more between the two movies?
I liked both of those movies. And we both enjoyed both of those movies. Kind of hard to pick. One's comedy, one's definitely an action movie with some comedy in it. But we'll call it a draw. Well, it's even.
Well, Mr. and Mrs. Smith clocks in at number 61 on my list.
Well, Brad Pitt. So, do you consider Brad Pitt's kind of? He certainly got the bill, I guess, physique to be an action hero. What else is he on your list? Is he? It's got to be more than this.
Inglourious Bastards.
Oh well, yeah.
From 2009.
Yeah, that's a good one. And he's been in what? Troy, historical. Epic, certainly a lot of action. Fight Club,
two of my favorite movies.
Both of those. Mm-hmm. So he's definitely, while he's not your, I guess the classic action hero in a way, because he definitely goes off in different directions.
Right, he's not just, I guess, typecast.
No, not at all. But he belongs in our list.
And then Fury, the tank movie.
Right, Fury, another World War II. Well, I guess he likes his World War II movies. Allied, although that was kind of more of there's not a lot of action, I guess, in that movie, right? At least not as much as in the other ones we mentioned. But
it's more of a drama. Our next action hero star is another star who isn't necessarily typecasted as a typical action hero, Denzel Washington.
Yeah, I can see. Yeah, you think more of just kind of a straight dramatic actor, at least when I initially think of him. But so why are we considering him? What does your list tell us here?
So 2006, Deja Vu.
Deja Vu, right? I remember that kind of vaguely. I remember I had some kind of time travel device in it, but where does that rank here?
Comes in at 142.
Okay, all right. What else makes the? I'm trying to see. I see the remake of The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3, which pales in comparison to the early 70s Walter Matthau, Robert Shaw version. A movie I think that you like. I say The Book of Eli makes it. Now you did like that quite a bit, didn't you? Yeah. And then these live. Okay, so the Equalizer.
Right.
Both of the Equalizer movies are on here, and those are certainly those are popular. I didn't watch the second one. The first one, I don't know. I just found it a little too brutal, a little too violent. I thought it was kind of a little, I don't know. I had a problem with that movie for some reason. I thought it was too much.
I liked it.
Yeah, I did. Well, a lot of people did. I know a lot of people don't.
I haven't seen the second one yet.
I'm definitely in the minority there, I think. But So Denzel, you think about he really early on. Now he won his first Oscar for a war movie, Glory, the Civil War movie. But most of the movies, at least that we mentioned there, are all fairly recent within the last 10 or 12 years, I guess, 15 at the most. He kind of he's gotten more of an action rep, I guess, as he's gotten older. Most of the times it's when you're a little bit younger. But I saw what I see on there. Two Guns with who was it? Was that him and Wahlberg in that? Mark Wahlberg?
I think so.
That's certainly an action flick.
2013. Yep.
Yeah. Another movie I thought was only so. He was in the Tony Scott movie that, again, a lot of people liked. I didn't like. Wow, I'm starting to sound like I'm hating on Denzel Washington. I really need to watch it because now that guy is a good actor. But he was in Man on Fire, the Revenge, the Revenge movie. That did, I think, pretty well, and he was good in it. But yeah, he's kind of older when most you go back a little bit before that, and there were a little bit, there were more dramas, not as much action. There was Crimson Tide, but
in Training Day in 2001.
Yeah, I still kind of think I don't look at that. I know there's some action-filled moments in it,
but it's not necessarily an action movie.
Right? And plus he wasn't the. Well, I don't know if he was certainly an anti-hero, I guess, and Man on Fire. He was the hero, but certainly not not much of a likable one. Well, yeah, that reminds me though. So he's become more of an action hero the older he's got, right? Which kind of parallels another guy. I'm looking at your list here. I'm skipping a year, but it kind of reminds me of Liam Neeson's trajectory.
Right.
A little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a guy that, again, I thought of more, even though he did some action-filled roles earlier in his career. I think Rob Roy, and I know there's a bunch of them I'm probably not thinking of. But it wasn't until around 2000, what is this, 2008 with Taken.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that started kind of a yearly tradition. Remember we talked earlier about how Will Smith, he was the midsummer 4th of July, tit pole action guy, right? And starting with Taken, Liam Neeson kind of reformed his career as an action hero. And then I want to say most of these movies, so he had Taken and the two sequels to it. You had The Gray. You had, most of these movies came out in that dead zone, that kind of a dead zone, January, February of each year. But, they were all making money.
Right.
They weren't very expensive to make. I'm sure his salary was the biggest thing in the movie. And
well, even this year's Cold Pursuit is kind of reminiscent of Taken.
Yeah, there were a lot of them. That's the problem, is now it's gotten so. I saw Cold Pursuit, and I was left somewhat cold after it. It didn't have anything new to add to any of these. But Cold Pursuit and The Commuter, and was it Nonstop, I believe.
I saw The Commuter.
I haven't seen The Commuter yet. I'll probably watch that. Yeah, I'll probably end up watching it. But yeah, he. It happened around the time, I guess, his wife, Natasha Richardson, died unexpectedly around the time Taken was released, and
I think she died in 2009.
2009, yeah. So right after that started, and he, he went into a new phase of his career. Really liked The Gray too. That's a tough little. I don't know if you've seen that. That was tough.
I started watching that, and it got too brutal.
Yeah, you're talking about brutal movies. You're right. It's a brutal flick.
I don't think I made it past the opening first act. But yeah, it looked really good.
Yeah, it was.
From the trailer and...
No. So, every now and then, they're not long in the tooth. They just, I don't know, those guys fit. They seem to somehow fit right in regardless of being a little bit older than what we normally think of as
it's almost like they've earned their stripes.
There we go. Right, exactly. That's right. Exactly. Well, who else has earned their stripes?
Well, speaking of earning your stripes, our next action hero on the list is Mark Wahlberg.
Marky Mark. So, which funky bunch has he brought with him on your list?
Shooter from 2007.
Once again, I may be in the minority because I know a lot of people telling me they really like that movie. I'm not one of them, but so Shooter, it can't be very high on the list. It can't be.
Yeah, it comes in at 183.
Right, it's very I figured it had to be low on the list, but all right. So now I can look and see your list. There are a couple movies that are really high on this list, undeservedly. I've got it in for everybody today. It's my old buddy, my old pal. Michael Bay and a couple of his Transformers movies, right? That Mark Wahlberg, right, I hope got paid good money for,
So Age of Extinction from 2014 comes at number 16 on the list.
Yeah.
And Transformers The Last Night from 2017 comes in at number 68.
Yeah. Well, look, I'll be honest. I haven't seen either one of them. I'd seen enough of the Transformers to know. I don't know. And as a matter of fact, I know several people that love the Transformers, right? They just love those movies. I don't know of a single one that has told me they liked Age of Extinction. I've just seen wait a minute, are you looking at me? Mm-hmm. You didn't say, okay. I was about to say, oh, no. Tell me it's not so.
I've seen it. I don't remember it.
Well, yeah, I don't know anybody that liked that movie. Wahlberg certainly, he's, I know a couple other movies that I don't see on the list, but Three Kings certainly had some action scenes in it. And then several of the movies that he's done with Peter Berg, the director Peter Berg is also an actor, Deepwater Horizon and Patriots Day and Lone Survivor. Those are all very muscular, movies with a lot of action in them. And they're certainly well liked by the general public, maybe not as much by the critics, but Wahlberg definitely I can see as an action hero. Now that I think about it, there's another movie that comes to mind that I'll just have to trash. Man, I don't think I'm in a bad mood, but Mile 22. I think I mentioned it in my end of the year review show. I thought was, along with Jennifer Garner's movie Peppermint, was the worst movie that I saw last year. Just relentlessly stupid. Mm-hmm. But anyway, hey, that reminds me. I'm in such a good mood. I see somebody else on your list that I would just love. I just love to talk about Gerard Butler.
What do you have against Gerard Butler?
Gerard Butler. What do I have against him? Virtually every movie he's ever been in is what I've got against Gerard Butler, except for the movie I see on here on your list first. He may be in other movies, but 300. Mm-hmm. That was a good performance, a good, again, good muscular, believable performance in one of in what may be director Zack Snyder's second best movie behind the remake of Dawn of the Dead. What else is he? I know. Geostorm. What other action movies?
The Olympus Has Fallen movies.
Oh, those movies. That's right. Yeah, those are terrible. Again, I'm going to be... There's some pure action fans out there who's going to be, what in the world is wrong with this guy? I didn't like either one of those movies. What about you?
I liked it.
Right.
A couple of the CG scenes were...
Right, and that's something I know. You've got, I mean, your CG's got to look good, and yet you're going to let those movies stand? You're going to let them get away with that crappy CG work? Come on.
I can forgive it. It was just a quick, like some explosions were kind of like subpar, look kind of like TV cable,
right? Sci-Fi Channel, level,
right.
All right.
But I'll forgive it.
Well, okay. Look, at the very least, I'll say that those two movies, talking about the Fallen movies, at least they're better than The Bounty Hunter or whatever that misbegotten movie that they tried to remake him as a romantic lead. That movie with the girl, the television actress.
Jennifer Aniston?
No.
Katherine Heigl?
That one. Yeah. I can't even remember what that movie was. I actually went to the theater and saw that and was so angry. I was so angry. I got
You were angry at Gerard Butler.
And my wife, because she's the one that taught me into going to see that. I love you, honey, by the way.
So she likes Vin Diesel and Gerard Butler. And you can't say neither one.
Look. My darling wife is perfect in almost every way. Almost every way.
Okay, we'll gloss right
over
that.
That's all I'm going to say.
So 300, by the way, comes at number 60 on the list.
Okay, yeah, that's, like I say, that's a good, solid movie. And Gerard Butler. Who you got? Who you got next? Come on, give me.
Are you feeling it?
Well, yeah, it looks like it's going to be somebody I'm going to have to tear into. I'm sure. I don't know.
Our next action hero might fight back a little bit.
Uh-oh. I'm not going to tear into this one.
Michael B. Jordan.
Oh, yeah. Well, he could pummel me, certainly, with a pair of boxing gloves or his fists. Well, I'm not going to tear into Michael B. Jordan, simply not just because I'm scared of him, which I would be, but for the fact that I think he's a really good actor. That being said, now, however, he has had, he's had his own missteps, I guess, or certainly a misstep. He was the Human Torch, right? In the
Fantastic Four,
right? Definitely not Fantastic Four, but
at least it didn't torch his career.
Ooh, ow!
He survived.
He survived. His career is burning hot now, and I'm sure probably due to the fact of what movies. I'm really not sure. I can't. You keep hiding your list from me, but I'm sure that what is it? Creed. Both Creeds are probably on.
Oh yeah, they are.
The Creeds there, and then a little movie. He wasn't the hero in this movie, I guess. And I'm talking about Black Panther. He was Killmonger, actually one of the best villains that I can think of in a comic book movie. But as far as Creed goes, what have we got? Where's Creed come in at? Creed and Creed 2.
So Creed 2 edges out Creed.
Yeah.
Creed 2 comes at 130, and Creed comes in at 139.
Well, and that's Creed 2 probably ekes it out because people liked, they liked the first one and the word of mouth, for the second one. Now the third one, I didn't particularly like the movie. I didn't like Creed 2 as much as I liked the original. So it'll be interesting if they do decide to go ahead and do a third installment of that, how that will fare. Because I don't know if many people thought the second one was quite as strong as the first one. Could be wrong. And so I guess Black Panther won't be on that list simply because he's the bad guy there. But I thought he's definitely an up and comer as far as future action stars to be watching. As is I see maybe one of the last people on your list here. You've got Tom Hardy down, and he certainly was a pretty strong hero in the Mad Max reboot a couple of years ago, Mad Max Fury Road,
which comes in at 103 on the list.
103, and he's another guy. Physically, I can believe that guy could do a little damage if he needed to.
But even he's had some missteps.
Well, yeah, there have been, I guess. Star Trek Nemesis, he was in that, right?
Shinzon or Shinzon.
This Means War, which was a terrible movie with Chris Pine and Reese Witherspoon. Yeah, but his hits have outweighed his misses, and A Warrior. I thought that was a pretty solid boxing movie. Inception, I know a few people like that movie. But
then he was Bane in the Dark Knight Rises movie.
Right, he was definitely the villain in that. He's the hero / anti-hero in another comic book movie, Venom, that came out last year.
Right.
So, I expect a lot more. And while he was in The Revenant too, he's really good in The Revenant. And we'll see him a lot more good roles on down the line. I can pretty much guarantee that. I know I see some other we've kind of skipped over a few actors, some of whom they've been in, like a big one or two or whatever, or maybe had a role as an action hero, but that's it. We don't really think of them as action heroes as much, right? I know we've got one big actor on this list.
Right. Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp.
From the Pirates of the Caribbean movies.
Captain Jack Sparrow. Yeah, those are huge money makers, and at least the first one's well liked. I guess several of them are if they keep making them. But I don't think of Johnny Depp, other than as Captain Jack Sparrow. I don't really consider him an action star, right?
Right.
Who else?
Tobey Maguire.
Tobey Maguire.
From the Spider-Man movies.
Right. No, it's Tobey Maguire. He's a fine Spider-Man, right? But he's not an action. No one really thinks of him as an action hero for the most part. And that kind of, speaking of Maguire, that's kind of an interesting thing, right? He's not the only one. Superhero movies over the last 10 or 15 years, that's been, some of our biggest action movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm sure that Tobey Maguire isn't the only. Who else have we got on as far as superhero movies?
Ryan Reynolds from the Deadpool movies.
Do you consider Ryan when you think about action movie stars?
When I think of Ryan Reynolds, I think of mostly superhero type roles, more so than an action movie star, I guess.
Right. You think it was Deadpool or
the Green Lantern?
I think he tries to forget. Well, you think of him as a Green Lantern, he tries to forget.
Yes, I love the little cameo in the Deadpool 2 movie.
What, the Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh.
Remember?
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
You're welcome, Canada.
Right on. Who else? Well, I guess the big one there. The big one in this is Robert Downey Jr.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, he's the key figure, really, I think, and certainly in the Marvel universe. And Tony Stark and Iron Man, those are, huge action roles. But I don't normally think about him as an action star. Although maybe I'm wrong.
It's in the Sherlock Holmes movies,
right? And those
which aren't necessarily action movies, but they had action scenes.
They're pretty action packed. I mean, but I still don't think. Yeah, maybe it's because of the character Sherlock Holmes. I still. When I think of Sherlock, and I like both of those Sherlock Holmes movies with Robert Downey Jr. I'll tell you that right now. But maybe because it's just been ingrained in me so long, I still think when I think of Sherlock Holmes, I don't immediately think of Robert Downey Jr. I don't immediately think of Benedict Cumberbatch. I don't think of Johnny Lee Miller. I think of Basil Rathbone. In his pipe and whatever hat, I can't remember what kind of hat you call that. And they're not very action filled, it wasn't an action role.
It's like something's happened, they got to figure out.
Right, they got to figure it out. Exactly. It's a thinking part, not
a doing part.
Exactly.
So this gives us a perfect opportunity to preview next week's topic for the podcast.
Well, what? Pray tell. Clue me in, so at least I'll know. Maybe I can, do a little research.
We're going to have a franchise box office blowout.
Franchise box office blowout. All right. So what's your plan for this?
We're going to find out which franchise movie titles are the most profitable.
The most profitable.
Adjusted for inflation.
Okay. All right. Good. All right. Well. I've enjoyed doing the action heroes this way, so I can't wait to see. Let me ask you this: how much research have you done into this so far?
I've compiled a spreadsheet based off.
So you already know the answers, and all right. Well,
it may not be that hard to figure out, but we'll have fun at it.
Well, I know. I certainly know some of the top contenders. Let's put it that way. I'm not for sure, what order some of them may come in. But so how many franchises have you looked at?
Over 200.
Oh, are you 200?
But we can pare it down.
Oh my gosh! I'm about to say it's going to be a 5 or 6 part show, or a 9 part. It's like the Star Wars, the Star Wars saga,
a Film Nobs franchise.
Well, if we can, figure out a way to make the kind of money they've made, I'm all for it. I'll talk about franchises from now on. All right. Well, sounds like fun. It's been fun today. Been fun talking about this.
Hey, Knobsters, what do you think about the action hero list? Think we got it right? Think we missed a few? Think some need to be added? Hit us up on social media. Check out our Twitter account. We're at Film Nobs. You can also look us on Facebook and Pinterest. And you can check out the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, and Stitcher. And be sure to check out our YouTube channel. You can find us, of course, at Film Nobs.
And one final note for myself. I just want to tell to all those fans out there of John Wayne, Michael Bay, Vin Diesel, Gerard Butler, Russell Crowe, may I just say, hey, it's all in fun, guys. Take it easy on me, please. I think that's about it from my corner. I just wanted to plead a little bit. I'm not an action hero, obviously. I'm one of those that plead for mercy. All right, guys. I guess until next time, everybody out there, take care.